Woo! All right. What's up, y'all? Today we are taking a really quick look at fine-tuning your turntables, your Midi turntables. If you got a device like this, if you're using a Midi controller to control scratching in Stagecraft, I've had a few people come at me lately and be like, it's a little bit of a wobble, or when I move really fast it doesn't work, when I move really slow. Let me say, first of all, every Midi controller is different. That's why we have the advanced controls we have, so that people can adjust it a little bit. If you find one that's really not working, let me know, send it my way so I can put it on my list. But generally, this will apply to any Midi controller, any DAW, and should work at pretty much any sample rate and all that stuff too. So, let's get into it. All right, once you start up Stagecraft, you'll see this screen. I'm not going to go through how to MIDI map the turntable because I've done that on other videos, but once it's MIDI mapped, I'm going to go through how to fine tune it a little bit. So here's our MIDI control panel, right? This tells us all the things about the scratching that's going on. First thing you need to do is, of course, first of all, most MIDI controllers are position based. There's velocity. This is for some other MIDI devices like pitch wheel trying to scratch with like really weird setups. But most of you are just going to stick to this. You're going to learn all three of these, right? And then once you get to this point where you have learned touch, tick forward, tick back, and you can move your turntable and see it moving back and forth, this is our jumping off point. This is where we want to now look at how do we fine tune the response of the turntable to make it realistic or to make it crazy, right? So, example number one. First thing to look at is friction and sensitivity, right? Here's my scratching. You can see it going on. You can see it going on over here. But you can also see the response right here on this disc and down here on this this line. And that's what's important, right? This line is the thing you need to look at, right? You can see that if you're moving slowly, you can see it kind of edging forward and back. You need that high response, right? If I turn friction way down, you can do things like, right? Go backwards, and you'll see it slow down very slowly. Just a little tap. If I do a big tap, giant spin back, which isn't going to work with such a short sample. So let's turn this back up. Friction, I like it with a fair amount of friction. Realistic tends to be, at least for this MIDI controller, realistic tends to be at about 75%, 75%. And if you have a real turntable handy, you can kind of check, right? If you scratch and then you let go, you push, pull back and like let go, it'll pretty quickly catch and come back to you. So usually you want friction to be pretty high. Sensitivity, here, check this. Sensitivity controls how far it's going to go. I'm just moving my fingers just a little bit back and forth, and you can see it's only moving a little bit. If I turn sensitivity way up, it's moving a lot more, right? So turn it way up, right? You can hear it's a higher pitch because it's moving quicker over a bigger amount of space, right? Quick and easy. So, first thing you want to do is adjust these two. Get it to where it feels good for you. You do want to take a look then at the advanced settings down here. I did forget to mention also, this is important. You need to make sure that you have either all inputs, which is default, or your MIDI controller selected. This does just what it says. I'm not going to go into the details, but it bypasses the DAW because these MIDI devices send certain signals that the DAW does not pass to the plugin, so we have to do it. We have to kind of do a little hack here. Okay, advanced. So why do we need this advanced section, right? We have this crazy filter. If I turn it off, oops. You hear that wobble? It's more like brrr, brrr, when you go forward and backwards. The reason for that is that the incoming MIDI is coming in packets, right? So it says, hey, we moved forward this amount. Move forward this amount again. Oh, now we move forward twice as much. Oh, now 4 times as much. Now 1. Now 4. Now 1. So what you see literally in this data when this is off is the like 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 4 1 2, you know, whatever. And what we want to do is smooth that, right? We smooth it out to get the desirable signal. Frequency and bandwidth are things that a lot of you will understand from a filter perspective, but applied in this context, it's kind of weird. Easiest thing to do here is just say you're going to want to mess with them a little bit. They're constrained values, so even if they're like all the way up and all the way down, it shouldn't mess you up too badly. But let's just experiment. If like frequency's all the way down and I do really quick scratches, right? You see a lot less definition than if frequency's all the way up. Similarly, if bandwidth is all the way down, you see kind of bigger bumps. And if bandwidth is all the way up, you see like no bumps, right? So you might just say, well, why don't we just keep them like all the way up? So you get... That actually works pretty well for this controller. I suspect it won't for all controllers. Some of them you'll have to bring these down a bit and play with. The thing to note is the fast response. So the really quick, that kind of thing. If that's not working, then you want to take the frequency up and or the bandwidth down. So anyway, experiment with that. Should get you where you need to go. And yeah, happy scratching.